So 91% of people fail their New Year's resolutions, 23% quit by the end of the first week, and 43% quit by the end of January.
Wow.
Why do you think that is?
I think New Year's resolutions need to be set through a system. So a very easy system to follow is called the SMART goals system. So that means it needs to be specific. So a lot of people aren't specific enough with their goals. So something that a lot of people say when they get into the new year is, I want to lose weight. So how much weight do you want to lose? And then a lot of people set goals that aren't measurable. So how do you measure your goal? How do you track it? Where are you right now and where do you need to be? So you've got S for specific for S, M for measurable, A for achievable. You know, is it going to be something you can achieve? And the best example I can give you is if you want to have £1 million in the bank and you're starting with zero and you want to achieve that within 2 months, then that's not achievable. Whereas if you set a more realistic time frame, which again we'll come on to, and break it down into steps, what do you need to do on a day-to-day basis, on a monthly, on a yearly, and then rather than giving you such a short time frame that's not achievable, it's not realistic, you give yourself a longer time frame that makes it achievable and then makes it realistic, which again is the next part of the SMART goals system. So you've got specific, make it measurable, make it achievable, make it realistic. Obviously achievable, realistic, very similar. And one of the more important things that you need to do is you need to put a time limit on it. Because again, if you don't have a time limit on a goal, then you don't really know when you need to achieve it by. So when you set a time limit, you then have a deadline. So you know exactly when that needs to be done by. So when you do that, you then create urgency within yourself to get up and go and get after it and take the necessary actions available to achieve the goal. Whereas if you said, for example, I want to lose weight. Well, how much do you want to lose? When are you going to do it by? Is it realistic? Is it achievable? That's why most people fail New Year's resolutions, because they don't follow that system. So if you have a New Year's resolution and it is that you want to lose weight, which for a lot of people, that is the goal, make it specific. How much do you want to lose? Make it measurable. So obviously weight is measured in metrics of kilos, pounds, etc. Make it achievable. So set a realistic and an achievable goal and then put a time limit on it. And then therefore you will create urgency within yourself to follow through and take the necessary actions that you need to do to lose the weight. And then you've got the last two. So you've got to evaluate it. So this is where we talk about very often, don't we? You've got to write your goals down. So there's a few different reasons why I believe it's important to write your goals down. And the number one reason is, I don't know the exact statistic, and I'm not going to pretend that I do, but there is a far more greater chance of you achieving your goals if you write it down. And for me, one of the reasons is, when you write it down on a piece of paper with a pen, you're then reaffirming to yourself exactly what it is that you want. And then you're reaffirming it to your subconscious and your conscious work very close together, then you'll take the necessary actions that you need to achieve the goal. But second of all, if you don't write it down, then you can't evaluate it. So you evaluate it, and again, it's dependent on the person and the goal and the time limit. Evaluate it once a week, once a quarter, once a month, whichever is relevant to you and your goal. Because then you've already measured it, so you know where you're at, you know where you need to be, and by evaluating it, you can see, what have I done so far, what has gone well, what hasn't gone well, and what do I need to do to improve. So that's the best way, in my opinion, that you can evaluate the goal. Because again, if you never evaluate it, then you could have set a time limit that you want to lose 2 stone in 6 months. And then if you don't evaluate and you haven't measured it, then you might get to the last day of the 6 months and you've still got a stone to lose. And then you've not achieved your goal. And then the last thing you need to do is reward yourself. And the best example that I can give you of rewarding yourself is, I took over my dad's company, the OSI, which is the furniture business. I took over that at 25. And my dad had retired with a revenue of, I think it was around 2.9 million. And I said, if we can achieve £1 million increase in the first year, it was very ambitious, very bold goal. I said, I'm going to get myself a Rolex. So I was 25, I'd wanted a Rolex since I was like 15. And I said, if I could do that in my head, I can afford it and I'll have rewarded myself. So I worked my ass off that year, 12-hour days, you know, relentless. And I got to the end of the financial year and we'd hit 4 million. So I was absolutely buzzing. And I got myself the Rolex as a reward for hitting that. Now, the watch itself is a nice watch. Obviously, I wouldn't have bought it otherwise. But it's not the aesthetic of the watch that I love. It's what it represents as a reward. Because I see the watch and I wear it and it makes me feel proud of what I've accomplished. And it makes me realize that I am capable of doing great things and I'm capable of keeping my word, keeping my promises. And I know that when I set goals, I can achieve it. So every time I look at my watch, I get an increase in motivation and therefore it makes me want to go on and achieve more goals as well. So that is a relatively straightforward way of being able to set New Year's resolutions, set goals, but doing it through a system that will actually make you follow through and achieve the goal itself.
So let's just run through that very quickly again. So we've got specific,
Yeah,
measurable,
yeah,
achievable,
realistic, time-bound,
time-bound.
evaluate, and reward. If you like this clip and you want to see the full episode, then click the link here. Also, if you want to see more clips like this, please subscribe and make sure you turn the notifications bell on.